Hi, welcome back to Carl and Rick Talk Risk. Rick, morning. Sports hoodie. Who's the team? Or am I?
Oh no, I'm doing my bit for materialism with um, advertising, uh, unpaid advertising of Under Armour.
Okay. I could only see the top of the letters. So, okay.
Uh,
Well, gotcha. Rick, I'm excited about today's episode, and I know what you're gonna say. Well, what about the other episodes we do? No, I'm always excited to talk to you. But,
oh man, we're starting right off with bullshit from the beginning.
well, let's just say I prepared this time, which
Oh,
is
oh. So
which is a
finally, we might have a
rarity.
podcast worth listening to.
Exactly. Exactly. I've got some quotes, I've got articles, you sent me a bunch of stuff, so I feel like I'm better prepared. And you know what? Best of all, is today's discussion is going to be practical, at least to me. I don't know about if other people get any value out of it, but to me, it'll help my thinking about something. Um,
Think about
so let me.
oneself much.
Yeah, I know. Selfish of me. But yeah, let me set that up quickly, and then people hopefully stay tuned in and follow through with the rest of the episode. So let me set it up. Most people that listen to this podcast probably know that you and I, one of the involvements we have is with myself as co-editor at PRMIA Intelligent Risk, a quarterly publication with risk management insights that are always practical, or supposed to be practical. And you've written several articles there about governance, risk culture. The latest one was about utilities that you co-wrote with a
Craig
local
Mullen.
colleague. Yeah. So
And I do reviews. I do
and you do
reviews.
reviews. You do reviews every quarter. So this is one of the things we get to do together, which is always nice. Something I've seen more of as a co-editor is the rise of AI. And one way we dealt with that is with an AI disclaimer that every author needs to put at the end of their article and explain how did you use AI in the research, editing, and writing phase of your article. We don't police it. We don't ask questions. You tell us how it was used. Most people fully disclose how they used it. They go into varying levels of detail. And we've had that system for about 2 years. Um, we're, I think we need to go a step further. And that's what I'm hoping we can brainstorm a bit and maybe and use as a springboard to some of the articles that we've read this week. I want to go a step further and come up with some AI principles that give guidance to authors about when to use AI for certain aspects. Um, and and so that's what I'll walk you through it in a little bit. But first, I think it's good to get to the articles, because that's gonna tie in well, and it's gonna be very practical to us. So I'll start with the one that I sent to you, and let me share what that article is. So we will put these in the show notes in the video, so you can scroll down and read it for yourself. The first one is what 370,000 college essays tell us about AI's effects on creativity, by Rebecca Winthrop, who is the director of the Center for Universal Education at the Brookings Institution and led its global task force on AI and education. And basically, what she says is she's told by peers and students all the time that they think it's perfectly okay to use AI chatbots for brainstorming as long as they do the real work of writing themselves. And she says, no. This completely misunderstands the the mental work you need to do to write a really good essay. She says brainstorming is the work that's fundamental to writing. Quote. She also says AI smooth sentence, and this is, when I read this, I was like, yeah, I mean, this is very recognizable in my editing role. AI smooth sentences, elegant transitions, and rich vocabulary give the illusion of expansive creativity and individuality, but the underlying ideas often converge into a few homogenized categories. The next sentence, I thought of you, Rick. The largest homogenizing impact is on students who are farthest from the mean and have unique perspectives, including neurodivergent students and those from racial and linguistic minorities. So I'm not sure if you want to jump in on anything. I didn't have you on my screen. I don't know if you were nodding or shaking your head. That's her setup in this article, and I have the next thing I'll share is some data, but anything you want to jump in on so far?
Three things immediately. First off, give a little context. This is obviously, a newsflash, not a major issue in post-secondary education. It's a major issue in education. It's a major societal issue. I believe it's huge and cannot be overstated. Past week, my students had to do a capital budgeting exercise in the core finance class on Rick's Pizza Shop. I've been given the same assignment, albeit changed every year, slightly speaking, of whether or not I should open up a pizza shop. This year, I had a whole bunch of students who came up with the creative idea of creating a brand/logo for Rick's Pizza Shop. And the funny thing is they all came up with this idea, and they all came up with shockingly similar AI-generated brands of Rick's Pizza Shop. And the point is they're all excellent because they all showed me with significantly more hair, or my hair was actually thick and luscious instead of wispy and almost non-existent. AI got rid of, the forehead, blinding flash. But the point is they're all pretty excited, or many of them were excited. And I have to admit, I was amused. I had a great time going through them. And my wife and daughters were the ones that were most amused, I think, about what AI thinks of me. But the point is, after a while, you realize there wasn't much brainstorming, and it was all AI generated. Very clearly so. I'm reminded of, I'm going to call this the Wendy Carlos effect. Wendy Carlos is one of my favorite musicians and one of my least favorite musicians. Wendy Carlos, for those who don't know, was a very early adopter of computers and music, and she transformed many works of classical music. Switched on Bach would be one of her classic albums. Yes, I'm talking albums. Yes, we're talking late 70s, 80s. The Well-Tempered synthesizer. And what she does is she does classical music, but in using computers. And it's perfect. Absolutely awesome. When you first listen to it, you go, oh God, this is music as it's meant to be. After about 5 minutes, you grow absolutely nuts because it's not music as it's meant to be. It's pure. It misses. You can feel the human emotion being sucked out of you. And that's what music is supposed to be, because it's perfect but soulless. Third, when I read the article, that you mentioned, the thing that stuck out at me as an educator is I see not necessarily marginalized students in the sense that they used, okay? Because I almost want to throw a brick at the article when it talked about marginalized students as just being those that are racialized or have language issues. That's not where the real problem is, as I see it. The real problem is the students who can't think, won't think, or don't want to think, they're what I call the marginalized students. And yes, it's given them a tremendous, tremendous bump. But it is also setting them up for disaster because whatever thinking muscles they have are completely atrophying.
Mm.
And that is a huge, colossal disaster. We saw what social media did to people who are marginalized. Yes, originally it gives them a huge boost. They get a community, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they realize that that community on Facebook or TikTok or whatever isn't really real. And then you get into, all the stuff that Jonathan Haidt so um, characterizes, in his books.
Mm.
And basically, we have an entire generation of marginalized people who originally became hits or created a community or non-marginalized through social media. And we see it's a disaster. I see almost an exact parallel thinking or exact parallel situation happening with people's ability to think.
Yeah, it's a bit of a short-term band-aid, right? Where some people need to do the work themselves, to learn
Yeah.
that who they are, what's possible.
And so getting back to the iRisk articles, okay, some of the early submissions, would probably be a whole heck of a lot rougher.
Yeah.
But then again, they'd probably be music that we'd want to hear. They probably contain ideas that otherwise we wouldn't see. Because the other thing is the articles are better written, but less creative. That's what came out of the article that you sent me. One of the things I'm doing this month is I forget what blogger or whatever. I think it's actually community people have the 1,000-word a day challenge. So I'm doing 1,000 words a day of writing.
Okay.
I'll be based on my book and various other things. Expect an iRisk article as part of this exercise. So reading 1,000 words every day for the month. And here's the thing, even though it's still early in the month, it is an unbelievable chore, but it is unbelievable joy. I don't really like writing. Okay, I like thinking. I don't really like writing, but it's just like jogging or going for a run. There's some days you just really don't want to run, but you put the shoes on and you start, and you're 2 blocks from home, and all of a sudden the endorphins kick in. And it's on the days that you most don't want to run that the endorphins kick in the biggest, and you get the biggest runner's high. It's the exact same thing with thinking, and AI, in my opinion, kills it.
It doesn't give you the chance to get 2 miles into your run to feel what that's like, because that's addictive, right? That stimulation. I think there's some other things that are worth quickly pointing out from this. So the article quickly goes on to a Georgetown University neuroscientist, Adam Green, and that's actually where the title of the article comes from. He studied the personal statements of 370,000 students before and after ChatGPT became available. And their essays, I'm quoting here, suddenly used diverse and colorful language, but lacked truly creative ideas, right? Measurably. But the linguistic, this is the sad part, and the linguistic cover-up worked. Post-ChatGPT essays were rated as more creative by human judges. Again, that's about the smoothness of language, right? It's so convincing. I mean, you read first drafts and you're like, oh, I don't have any feedback for this author because it's so well written and everything's in place. And what am I going to tell them? But at the same time, don't feel like I've learned anything, right? So it's a weird sort of veneer that ChatGPT puts on on its own thoughts. Um,
Yeah,
um,
that kind of reminds me. I was in grade 3 or 4. I can't remember, and we are supposed to write an essay about a country, and I can't remember what the country was, but we didn't have encyclopedias, but we had a set of near encyclopedias called The World and Its People, which basically were an encyclopedia for geography. I there was a basically an encyclopedic book on every country in the world. And
yeah,
it was awesome. It was wonderful. I truly loved it. And just as a quick aside, if anyone out there has a set of encyclopedias, the hardcover books, that they're looking to get rid of, I'm interested. Uh, but in grade 3 or 4, we had to write this essay, and I also learned two things at the time. We learned about plagiarism, and the teacher was very concerned that we not plagiarize. I
mm,
also learned about this thing called a thesaurus. Okay. And so let's just say in writing my essay, I used the World and Its People encyclopedia, and I used a thesaurus heavily.
yeah,
And there basically wasn't a word that wasn't changed, but there also wasn't anything that was changed. And the teacher called me out on it. And I recall saying, but there is not a single word that, or there's almost not a single word that is in the original article from The World and Its People and when I submitted.
mm,
And I think that there's a lot of that today. Um, or not a lot of doing that, but when you're using AI, you might think that your wonderful prompts are, giving you original ideas or something, but it's not original. Yes, the words are
yeah,
changed, but it's not original.
yeah,
Almost by definition, almost by mathematical definition, if you're using a large language model. And
yeah,
it's really regression towards the mean, if you think about it.
yeah,
And that's why we get things that are so pleasing, but ultimately in the end, so unpleasing.
yeah, exactly.
It's like every comment is designed not to offend anybody because it's going towards the consensus, again, almost by mathematical definition, but it's
Yeah,
totally ignoring the wingnuts like me who are seven
yeah,
standard deviations out and don't even know it.
yeah, yeah. She had something to say on that, and I almost missed it. And then I want to quickly give you an overview of the guidance that I'm drafting. She said in the article, for the first time, I'm quoting directly here, for the first time in human history, we have a technology that can generate words separately from the thoughts they represent. When a chatbot writes, it is predicting the next word that is most likely to make a good sentence or essay based on the text it's been trained on. It can identify sophisticated, okay, not that important, but I thought that was fascinating. Humans, our our language is inextricably tied to our ideas. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
speech writing is just an expression of our ideas, but it's not the case for AI. And I think that's a really interesting way of thinking about it. There's words, AI can put words together, but that doesn't mean there's underlying ideas that it's representing with those words, right? And that's the flatness that you sort of sense after you read a very polished article with no meaning. So anyway, uh, we could go on about this. It's very interesting. I think anybody listening to us so far would think, wow, these guys are real naysayers on AI. And I don't think so. And I think,
Oh, I'm absolutely not.
yeah,
I'm a
exactly. So I
naysayer
think
on stupidly using AI.
stupidly using it, exactly. And that's what I've learned from the 2 year process of our AI disclaimers, our honor code. I've learned that I think authors are using AI in the wrong way. It's making my job more difficult, and it's making their articles less meaningful, which means fewer people are going to read them. Which, as a writer, that's the metric. Are people reading my ideas, and do they find them interesting? I mean, and that's what I think we should care about, regardless of AI. So I've come up with a matrix here. I don't have the time to put it on screen, and to be honest, I don't even know how to do that. So I'm not going to try. But I'm separating into 3 columns. Okay, you've got your first submission, you've got your redraft, and you've got your final submission that's published. And here's what I recommend. And I'm actually going to adjust this based on the article, because I said my recommended AI usage in the first submission is, topic brainstorming. You could use it to brainstorm that. I'm going to go back on that. I'm going to rethink that one. Maybe article structure. I'm also a bit shaky on that one now. Research, I think it's good for research. I think it's good for gathering stuff if you already have an idea. I think there's potential there. I think we often have to fit a certain style that we use at the publication, which includes format references and APA style. Nobody wants to do it. I hate doing it. Just use AI and check your links and make sure they work. Don't offload that, right? Perfect use for AI, in my opinion. And then maybe detecting grammatical errors, unclear language, that kind of stuff in what you've already written. So you'll notice I'm leaving out writing and polishing your language, which is what a lot of authors are doing in their first draft, and that's really that's the problem. That's the problem I'm trying to address. So, and in the second draft as well, I say no writing and really avoid. I've seen this as well, where you get a first draft, you manage to give feedback, and then the second draft is a whole new article. And so what I'm advising is, listen, don't go back to the drawing board. Use it to address the feedback, maybe your transitions, use it very lightly and selectively, but don't go back to the drawing board. Don't change complete ideas. Otherwise, we're lost, right? It's like reviewing a whole new first draft, first submission. And then at the very end, if you really want to, although I think a lot of people by this stage don't need AI to polish the language. It's your thing. It's yours. You've carved the statue. Why would you want somebody else to now go over it? But if you want to polish the language, look for confusing parts. Maybe think about your audience as well. This is who it's written for. Are they going to understand it? Maybe you've used too many abbreviations or industry terms or something. But yeah, don't go back to the drawing board there either. So I'll stop there. I need to go somewhere after this in 2 minutes. So that's where I am so far, Rick. I already see some things I want to change. I'm very curious what you have to say, but I only have 1 minute. Maybe we can pick it up again.
Tune in next week, folks, when I teach Carl how to use the share button in Teams.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time.